What is going on, everybody? It's me, it's you, it's us. We are here for another weekly live stream, and today we are going to be going over some Aetherdrift spoilers. Spoiler season started on Tuesday. That's yesterday, for those of you who actually know the days of the week, unlike myself. But yeah, so yesterday, spoiler season started, and boy, is this set looking interesting. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about a race car themed set, not going to lie, but it's looking pretty interesting so far. So we are going to check it out, and when we're done checking it out, we're going to play some standard. So let us jump right into that. But really quickly, before you do that, or before I do that rather, please make sure you hit that like button on your way in. It helps get us out there into the algorithm, and the more of you here chatting with me, the more fun we get to have, the more discussions we can have about the cards, and that is awesome, and that's what we're here for. So let's get into it. All right, so you're gonna have to give me a little bit of patience here because this is the first time I'm doing this live. Usually I do this, I record these spoiler videos. So I think I have a nice little setup here where I can zoom in on the cards here in the middle. Yeah. And then I've got chat set off right down here so that way if any of you guys are talking, it's easy to see. So it's not, you know, lost in the frame of what I'm doing here. So starting, we're going to work our way from today's spoilers back. So starting with today's spoilers. We've got Cloudspire Coordinator, a Boros 2 mana 3/1. When this creature enters, scry 2. This gives me some real I don't remember the name of the card, but it was a green-red card that did something similar. It was a high attack, low defense, and it scryed or did something similar when it came in. So 2 mana for a 3/1 scry 2. Pretty solid all by itself, to be honest. And then you can tap it to create X 1/1 colorless pilot creature tokens, where X is the number of mounts and or vehicles that entered the battlefield under your control this turn. And they have this token saddles, mounts, and cruise vehicles as though it's power 2 or greater. I actually think for an uncommon, this card's pretty solid. And based on some of the other cards that I've seen, I think the mounts and vehicles might actually have a real shot in this set. Because there have been some pretty powerful stuff released. One just shortly down here that we'll get to show you. But yeah, so I mean, decent stats. It's aggressive. It lets you scry and make sure you're hitting your land drops. If you're playing a low land count, that's very important. And I think it's a really solid uncommon. I think it'll see play. Count on luck. 3 red at the beginning of your upkeep. Exile the top card of your library. You can play it this turn. So basically, it's Phyrexian Arena for red without the life loss, and it costs 3 red. So it's only going to be good in, I shouldn't say only mono red, because the land isn't too bad right now. So casting this in a dual color deck's not impossible. Yeah, it is basically red Phyrexian Arena, but without the drawback of paying life, which is pretty sweet because Phyrexian Arena can kill you if the game goes on long enough. So I'm not sure if this will see play, because I feel like the case, the red case from Murders of Karlov Manor, is almost better than this, in the sense that you get to draw, like if you're empty-handed, you get to draw 2 cards right away. And then if you continue to get empty-handed, you draw 2 cards per turn. So I'm not sure. We'll have to see if this card sees play. Maybe it sees play in like a big red list. That could be interesting, because Phyrexian Arena usually sees play in mid-rangey to control lists. So maybe I'm thinking of this in the wrong light as an aggro card to keep your hand full. But maybe it's actually a big red tool. Who knows? We'll have to see. Now this card, it's a lot of mana. But boy, if you can play this in like a gruel, rampy mid-range list that's creature-based. Oh, sorry, my kitty's sneezing. Stop sneezing. Bless you. Anyway, this is ridiculous. 2 additional combat phases, like, if you can abuse this with like triggers and things that happen on attack and creatures that grow when they attack, or things like a Nimpa call that make tokens, like you could literally like have just an Anima call on the battlefield and if your opponent can't block it and you cast this, you could just deal like, what is it? It would be 2, 3, and then 3, 4, 7, so 10, and then yeah, like it'd be like 16 or 17 damage just from a completely like raw Anima call on the battlefield, and then attacking with this 3 times. So I don't know. This card's going to see some amount of play. There's going to be something that takes advantage of this, because if you can play well statted creatures that are statted above their mana cost, which is Gruul Stompy's really good at. There's lots of good 3 mana 3/4s and things like that. You just play a bunch of well statted, undercosted creatures, and then eventually you full throttle, smash through your opponent's stuff, keep attacking and attacking, and pretty sweet in my opinion. Fearless Swashbuckler. I like this card. I think this card goes incredibly well with another card that we'll talk about later on, one of the new Shark Legends from this set. It is a 3 mana Izzet Fish Pirate with haste. Vehicles you control have haste, and whenever you attack, if a pirate and a vehicle attack to this combat, draw 3 cards and discard 2 cards. That's pretty sweet. That's some serious filtering on a creature. For a 3/3 with haste is already decent. Like, and it also gives vehicles haste. So like, if it just had the first 2 lines of text, it wouldn't be like, wow, we're going to play this, you know, right off the bat, but it would be decent. And so being able to draw 3 and discard 2, very strong. So I see this seeing play if the deck that I think that's going to pop up with these pirates is ends up being a thing. Moving on down the line, if this doesn't look familiar, it's basically Warden of the Inner Sky on an artifact. It's a 1 mana 2/3 vehicle, and when it enters, you get to scry 1. So you get to scry 1 on turn 1, which is pretty nice. And then you can either crew it for 1, or you can tap 3 other untapped creatures you control until end of turn. It becomes an artifact creature and gains flying, and you can put a counter on it. So if you find yourself in a position where you're playing Hop to It, and now you have 3 Summon Sick tokens, you can tap those Summon Sick tokens and crew this and make it bigger and give it flying. So interesting card. I don't know if it'll see play, but if vehicles becomes a thing, which I think it will, this will be an auto include in those kinds of decks. Charger's Ignition. This is a special guest, so I don't believe this is in the standard set. Yeah, it doesn't. That's definitely not going to be in standard. So we won't worry about that right now because that's not in standard. Marauding Mako. This card's going to be crazy in older formats. Faithless Looting, like there's so many cheap draw and discard like cards, you know, like Faithless Looting on turn 2 makes us a 3/3, and then God forbid you have another Faithless Looting or other 1 mana draw discard spell. There's even one that draws 3 and discards at random like 3 cards or something. I don't know how good this will be in standard, but I do think that it will be decent because there's a lot of good discard incentivizing cards in this set so far. So this could be very strong. And the fact that it has cycling too is actually pretty sweet, because if you draw this in the late game where having a 1/1 is not helping you very much, being able to draw a card is pretty nice. Samut the Driving Force. Now this is a card I think is interesting. I don't know where it sees play though, because these colors just don't, I don't feel like these colors match it super well, but I could be wrong. It is a 6 mana 4/5 first strike vigilant haste. So it's got a lot of nice keywords. And it has Start Your Engines. So by the time you cast this, you should be, if you're playing something that cares about Start Your Engines, you'll probably be at max speed by now or close to it. And then other creatures you control get +X/+O, where X is your speed. So a maximum of 4. So this can literally, for 6 mana, pump your entire team by +4/+O. And then this still attacks with Vigilance and First Strike for 4. And then it makes non-creature spells you cast cost X less to cast, where X is your speed. So it can reduce non-creature spells by up to 4, which can make for some pretty ridiculous like things that you can do. Like you could play big enchantments for cheap, or powerful anthem spells for super cheap. I don't know that this fits into an archetype or makes its own archetype, but it's a pretty cool card, and I can see it being built around. Moving on to Market Backwalker. This one has my curiosity piqued. It enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. You can pay 4 to put a counter on it, and when it dies, draw a card for each +1/+1 counter on it. Obviously, you want to play this in some kind of deck that has the ability to sacrifice it, because there's so much exile-based removal right now, and this gets eaten alive by so many exile-based removal spells. So you definitely would have to play this in a deck that has the ability to sacrifice it for a benefit to avoid it getting exiled. That being said, there are so many cards in Standard right now that buff up counters, that either add additional counters when a counter is placed on a card, or have things enter with additional counters, or put counters on it without having to spend. You've got the talent, the green talent. You've got Bristly Bill. You've got if you want to play it in mono green, you've got the World Tree, the 3 green, that whenever something with power 2 or less comes in, you get to put 2 counters on it. You've got Kami of Whispered Hopes. You've got Ozolith. Like, there's so many ways to abuse and just pay very little mana for this and end up having it, the turn it comes into play, have 4 or 5 counters on it for 2 mana. So we're talking about, if you can get that set up and then you have a way to sacrifice it or make sure it dies, you're drawing like 4 or 5 cards. It's ridiculous. It's not very good if you're going to be just spending the mana on it, but that's not where I see it seeing play. I see it seeing play in a deck that can add counters to it pretty easily. And you just cast this for 2 mana and get the first counter on it, and then the rest of your deck kind of adds to it from there. Even if you pay 2 mana for this and only draw 2 cards off of it because of 1 card that put a counter on it, that's still 2 mana, draw 2 cards. That's pretty awesome. And there's lots of good sack outlets in Standard right now, so I don't see that being a problem. We've got Ketramos. Oh, hold on. I'm so sorry. I just realized I have these kind of not centered in my frame here. That better? That looks better. All right, Ketramos the New Dawn, our Orzhov god of the set. 3 mana, 4/4, menace, lifelink, indestructible. It cannot attack or block unless there are 7 or more cards in exile. I don't think this is a hard condition to meet. There's a lot of cards that do the exile things, whether you're playing an attrition deck that is playing, what is that? The 1 mana exile, our opponent exiles a card from their hand. Spell, or just removal spells that exile, or adventure cards when they're exiled count as being exiled. There are ways you can exile stuff from your graveyard for benefits with forage abilities and all kinds of other things, or collect evidence costs. So there's a lot of interesting ways to get this guy going. And then whenever 1 or more cards are put into exile from graveyards and or the battlefield during your turn, you draw a card and lose a life. So getting him the ability to attack is quite a benefit. Like, yeah, you lose the life and draw a card, but then you can gain it back once he can attack because he's indestructible. So only thing that sucks is he does die pretty handily to what is the Phyrexian exile spell that's really popular right now? I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. You know what I'm talking about. The 2 mana, 1 and a black, exile a creature with mana cost 3 or less, and then if you have corrupt, it exiles it instead. That one. So this guy unfortunately does die to that, which sucks. I like this card. I think it's interesting because it gives me, and it's mostly because I want to play it in Lich Knight's Conquest decks. It's another card that creates a token and an enchantment. And then if you happen to have max speed, you can use it as a demonic tutor. It's pretty cool. So goes right alongside the skeleton one. And so I kind of think it's interesting because you could kind of build like a skeleton zombie deck with Death Baron and Gisa, and then like this and the case that makes a skeleton, and you know, kind of have like an interesting thing going there. So I like this card a lot. I think it's pretty neat. I don't know if it's good, but it'll be something that I absolutely try to build around. And then we had some commander stuff and some special guests. Chrome Mox going to be in the special guest if you're playing in paper. So that's pretty sweet. Anoint with Affliction. Yeah, thank you, Weems. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, moving on down here. This is from yesterday. Everybody's flipping out about this card. I think everybody just loves the art and the fact that it's a frog god. So Sabsunin Luxa Embodied. It is a 5-mana Simic god. 6/6 reach, trample, indestructible. Sabsunin cannot attack or block unless it has an even number of counters on it. 0 is even. So the turn it comes into play, it can attack if it has haste. But at the beginning of your first main phase, you put a counter on it, and then if it has an odd number of counters on it, you draw 2 cards. So the first turn you play this, unless it has haste, it's doing nothing. And then on your first main phase, it's going to get a counter, and you're going to draw 2 cards. So it won't be able to attack that turn. But we have the there's several ways to put counters on it. You know, we've got Bristly Bill and the talent that put counters on it. And so it's kind of awesome because you can play this on your next main phase, draw 2 cards, put a counter on it with any number of cards that put counters on things, and still attack with it, and it's indestructible. So this is a really sweet card. I think this card has a lot of potential in a mid-range ramp style deck, and I think this card's going to be super awesome. Light Shield Parry is a common, pretty simple. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and you can cycle it. Gotta love cycling. Midnight Mangler, another common. It's a 3/3 for 2 with crew 2, and during turns other than yours, it is an artifact creature. This is actually pretty solid for a common. I mean, it's a 2-mana 3/3 as far as blockers are concerned, and then you can crew it on your turn. So I think it's pretty cool. Venom Sac Legak, another common, 2-mana 2/1 Death Touch, and whenever it attacks while it's saddled, it gets +0/+3, so it just makes it a little harder for people to kill through blocks. Prowlcatcher Specialist, Goblin Warrior, Haste, Exhaust, put 2 counters on this creature. Exhaust is a new ability that you can only use once per game, although there is a creature that makes it so you can use those abilities again. But strictly speaking, unless it is altered by that ability, exhaust abilities can only be used once. So it's a 2-mana 2/1 haste that you can grow into a 4/3 later, one time. Streaking Oil Gorger, 5-mana 3/3 flying haste with Starcher Engines, and then max speed is this creature has lifelink. Nothing too crazy there, pretty nice draft fodder. Now this card's a little interesting. Aganosaurus Rex, 5-mana 8/8 trample. We like stats like that. And then it also has cycling. I am super stoked about cycling returning in this set because it really helps with mass reanimation style decks, or even just regular reanimation decks. Being able to discard these to draw cards and then get benefits from them and then reanimate them later is super awesome. And whenever you cycle this, you get to put 2 counters on up to 1 target creature or vehicle, and it gains trample and indestructible till end of turn. So that's really sweet. This is a very solid creature, and I think it will absolutely see play. Quag Feast, basically a very strong removal spell for any kind of reanimation style list or Graveyard Matters list. It's a sorcery, which is unfortunate, but being able to destroy a creature or planeswalker or vehicle in black. So I mean, black's basically getting artifact removal in a sense. It can only be vehicles, but still, that's an artifact. And then you get to mill 2 cards, so it's helping you in your graveyard strategy. And then it only cares about mana value. So as long as the mana value is less than or equal to the number of cards in your graveyard, it goes bye-bye. It's pretty freaking cool. All right, now we got Repurposing Bay. This is a card I'm really excited about. This is basically Birthing Pod for artifacts. It's cost... So Birthing Pod cost 3 in a Phyrexian green. So this just costs 3. So you don't ever have to pay the 2 life. And then it costs 2 to activate, whereas Birthing Pod cost 1 in a Phyrexian green. So you could activate it a little bit cheaper at the cost of life. But we have Enigma Jewel in Standard. So you can play Enigma Jewel on turn 1. Turn 2, play, I don't know, some like treasure map or tome or any of the 2 mana, like draw, scry, like pay 2 mana to do a thing. There's a whole bunch of 2 mana artifacts that you can pay mana to draw cards, discard cards, do whatever. And then turn 3, you play this. Use your Enigma Jewel to activate it, sacrifice the 3-drop, go get a 3-drop artifact that can be any number of things, synthesizer or Urbrask's Forge, whatever. And then you can keep playing artifacts and then sacrificing them to get bigger, better artifacts until you get crazy things. And there's also some pretty sweet artifact creatures you can get with these. So, especially with the Gear Hulks. So now you're going to have Gear Hulks to get, so you can be sacrificing, you know, like you could go get the Might Stone and the Weak Stone, 4. Like you can play some kind of 4 mana artifact and then go get the Might Stone, Weak Stone, and either give something -5, or draw 2 cards till the end of turn, and then sacrifice that to go get a Gear Hulk or any number. There's so many things you can do with this. It's ridiculous. This card's going to be super cool in Standard, and there's going to be something that abuses this in Standard. I guarantee it. Draconautics Engineer. 2 mana, 2/2. Exhaust other creatures you control. Gain haste until end of turn, and you put a counter on this one. That's pretty nice, actually. And then for 4 mana, you can make a 4/4 Dinosaur Dragon creature token. I like it. That's a really cool 2/2. I think it'll be solid in Goblins, and I think it might even be cool in Mono Red. Who knows? Elvish Refueler. This is the card I was talking about that helps make Exhaust better a little bit. I hate it because her stats are not that great, but her Exhaust puts counters on her and makes her... Hey, man, thanks. Welcome. Good to see you, Eddie. So the fact that she can actually buff herself is kind of nice, I suppose, but I mean, it's an investment of mana, but she makes it so that you can reactivate exhaust abilities. So it's kind of cool because you can like play her and then reactivate something like other creatures you control gain haste, or putting the counters on this again. Or there's actually like the new loot, which we'll see here in a minute, has some pretty sick exhaust abilities. So there's a chance she sees play just because of loot alone, if loot ends up being good enough to see Standard play. Yeah, I know they love these stats. They're not good. They're really not. It dies to cut down, which is sad. I don't know, but that ability might be good enough with the new loot. I'll show you guys the new loot in a minute. The new loot's ridiculous. All right, then we've got Hazaret, the Godseeker. 2 mana, 5/3, indestructible haste with Start Your Engines. Then you can pay 1 to give a creature with power 2 or less unblockable. And then he can't attack or block unless you have max speed. So getting max speed shouldn't be too hard. So it's very rare that you're not going to play this on turn 2 and smack your opponent for 5. That's not going to happen. But you can play this on turn 3 after you've played a very good 2-drop, and then you can make a 2-drop unblockable, hence increasing your speed. And then the following turn you increase your speed again, and then so it's like turn 5 before he can attack, but he's indestructible and he can make your stuff unblockable. So I don't know, he might see play, but I don't think he's like insane or anything. Now we've got Starting Column. It's a mana rock with Start Your Engines, and then max speed, you can sacrifice it to draw 2 cards and discard a card. This is not going to see Standard play. It's a very good draft card, though. Valor's Flagship. Now this one's interesting. I cannot remember the card that this reminds me of, but I know it made Angels. and then when you cycled it, it made soldiers instead. So it's a 7 mana, 7/7 flying first strike lifelink with crew 3. Now, what's crazy about this is that if you can cheat this into play somehow, there's another card we're going to look at here in just a minute that will just make this a creature right away when it comes into play, which is pretty ridiculous. But it does have a pretty sweet cycling ability. For X2 and a white, when you cycle it, you get to create X/1/1 colorless pilots that can crew things with power 2 greater than 1. So it has crew 3 essentially. So I think this is an interesting card. I think if we can cheat it into play and combine it with one of the cards I'm going to show you in a minute, I think this card might actually see play. Air Response Unit is a simple 2 mana 3/3 flying vigilance with crew 1. Nothing too crazy there. Hull Drifter, a hark back to Mull Drifter, which this is much worse because Mull Drifter you could evoke for 3 and at least draw 2 cards for 3 mana. This you have to have the 5 mana to play. But it sticks around. So for 5 mana, you get a 3/2 flying with crew 3. So I don't see this seeing play. It's not impossible. Like maybe in a blink shell of some kind, because that's honestly where Mull Drifter shine. Because Mull Drifter was just a 5 mana 2/2. It wasn't too crazy either. So maybe in a shell where you're blinking stuff a lot and you're just constantly blinking artifacts. Nahiri's Resolve is still in standard. So maybe you blink this every turn and draw 2 cards. That seems pretty sweet. Gear Hulks. These are the second and third Gear Hulk that so we still got 2 Gear Hulks we're waiting on. Pyrewood Gear Hulk. I think this card is awesome. It is a 6 mana, 7/7 Vigilance Menace, and when it enters, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain Vigilance and Menace, and damage cannot be prevented this turn. This could potentially even see play in older formats just because of the damage can't be prevented, getting around like the One Ring and stuff. Oh wait, did that finally get banned in Modern? I can't remember. Either way, in a Gruul Stompy list, this is amazing. It makes all your creatures harder to block. Your creatures are already overstated for their cost, and then it gives them +2/+2, and it gives them Vigilance. They probably already have Trample, a lot of them, so that's probably irrelevant. And yeah, this card's pretty sweet. It's a very solid 6-drop. It's a very good finisher in Gruul. Oil Deep Gear Hulk is 2 blue and 2 black for a 4/4 with lifelink and ward 1. It's really solid stats for a 4-drop. And when it enters, look at target player's hand. You may choose a card from it. If you do, that player discards that card, then draws a card. Not a huge fan of the opponent getting to replace the card we take. It does suck a little bit, but there are a lot of things that synergize with our opponent discarding cards. There's a lot more cards out there than you might think, but it's very strong. It has ward 1, so it means it's not going to be as easy to remove. Go for the Throat is still a very popular removal spell, and that does not hit this. And if you play it in a synthesizer list, I mean, I know synthesizer's not typically Dimir, but you could easily play like Grixis or Esper and end up. This is a really good follow-up to Synthesizer because you make a big token, you get to steal whatever card they have in their hand that might be able to board wipe your stuff away. It has lifelink, it's hard to remove. It's really good. I don't know exactly where it's going to see play, but it is going to see play. I can promise you that. This card's ridiculous. Yes, it's a 2-drop that dies to cut down. So is almost every other 2-drop. Yes, it dies to removal like every other creature, but as we've seen, creatures with incredibly strong abilities still end up being super good. And this is a very strong ability. It's a 2 mana 2/3. Mounts and vehicles you control have haste, and whenever a mount enters, it becomes saddled till end of turn. Whenever a vehicle you control enters, it becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. Now, vehicles maybe not as strong with this, but some of the mounts have really crazy abilities. Some of the mounts have super good abilities because their saddle cost is really high. And there are some vehicles, and we haven't seen all the vehicles from this set, obviously, but there are some vehicles even in standard now that have pretty sweet abilities, but pretty high crew costs. So not having to pay those saddle and crew costs, and they have haste, this card has got some potential, like for real. This is a very strong card. I can easily see this being played in like a Naya Mounts or a Boros vehicles list. It's really strong, and I'm really excited to build around this. So Cloudspire Cycle is a 4 mana 2/3 with flying. When this vehicle enters, distribute 2+1/+1 counters among 1 or 2 other vehicles and or creatures you control. And then it has crew 1. It's actually not terrible. It's not like incredible or anything, but it's not terrible. On to the new Chandra. I'm not going to lie. I actually really like this Chandra, especially in a deck with Culloden. 4 mana, 4 loyalty. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose up to 1 target vehicle you control until end of turn. It becomes an artifact creature and gains haste. So it immediately crews something without any plus or minus or anything. That's just what happens every turn. That's pretty sweet. And then you can +2 to sacrifice an artifact or discard a card. If you do, draw a card. So she filters for +2, and then you can target yourself with that. You're right. I didn't even think about that. We could discard a land from our hand and draw a better card. That's actually pretty cool if you're not looking to tear your opponent's hand apart. I didn't think about that. Nice catch, Weems. Anyway, back to Chandra. And she can protect herself for 0, and it's not even a minus, it's a 0, which is pretty awesome. She makes a 3/2 vehicle, and that vehicle can have haste, so she's also kind of an aggressive planeswalker. You can play her on an empty board and make a 3/2 and attack with it, because it's at the beginning of combat. So you play it during your first main phase, combat. You made a 3/2, now it's a creature, and boom. And then in 2 activations, you can -7 her, and whenever an artifact you control enters, this emblem deals 3 damage to any target. I think she's pretty cool. I think she's going to be neat in any kind of vehicles list, and there may even be like a weird combo list that if people aren't like excited about this Chandra, I think it's a big mistake, because you could even play her in a combo list. Like she doesn't even have to be played in a vehicle list, because she makes her own vehicles. So she makes 3/2 colorless vehicles. Her emblem is crazy. There's some really good treasure makers and food producers and ways you can just create a ton of artifacts really quickly and just burn your opponent out. So she could even be played in some kind of weird like combo treasure deck or something. I don't know, but she's really good. This card I'm really excited about, especially because we've seen a few cards that curve very nicely into this. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Allergies. And welcome to the stream, Matthew, by the way. Thank you. Captain Howler Sea Scourge. This guy's awesome. He's a 4 mana, is it 5/4 with Ward 2, pay 2 life. And so he's tough to remove. Like the opponent's going to have to spend probably as much mana as you spent, which is always nice to remove it. And then whenever you discard 1 or more cards, target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn for each card discarded this way. And then whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player this turn, you draw a card. There are a lot of creatures that draw and discard on attack, or you can draw and discard with them in other ways. Or like, for instance, way up here, when we saw this guy, whenever you attack, if a pirate and vehicle attacked this combat, draw 3 cards, discard 2 cards. This happens before damage. So the vehicle and the pirate both get +2/+0 or whatever it is. And then you draw 3, discard 2 cards. And then if they deal combat damage, then you draw a card for each of them. And it can get really out of hand really quickly. And then you've even got things like, what is it? There's the 2 mana hasty creature that has, you can draw or discard or make a treasure, put a wicked token on things. You can play that. it's just a really solid creature. I think he's really, really cool. I think there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of really good draw and discard spells that draw and discard a lot of cards. So, you put that with some flyers or some difficult to block creatures or what have you, and just it's sort of like Enduring Curiosity meets Pirates. I like it. Boosted Sloop. Same thing. It's a 3-mana 3/3 with Menace, and whenever you attack, draw cards and discard a card. So if you can crew this the turn after you play this, then this has Menace, so it's hard to block, and you draw and discard a card. It gets +2/+0, so now it's a 5/3. If your opponent doesn't block it, you draw a card, so you get the card, you discard it back. Freaking cool, man. Sita Varma, Masked Racer. 2-mana 2/3, exhaust, pay X, a green, blue, put X +1/+1 counters on Sita Varma. Then you may have the base power and toughness of each other creature you control become equal to Sita Varma's power until end of turn. I think this card's actually pretty cool. There's some potential with this. I don't know how much, but for 4 mana, you make the base power and toughness of every creature 3. So you play a bunch of smaller creatures in the deck, and all of a sudden they're huge. So, not to mention, if you can put counters on her through other means or have her power and toughness altered through enchantments or whatever, I think she's got some potential to do some cool things. Now we have Ranger's Aetherhive. This one's really cool. A 3-mana 3/5 with Vigilance. Whenever you activate an exhaust ability, you get a Thopter, which is pretty sweet because there's a lot of really good exhaust abilities in this set, in my opinion, and there's still probably more to be spoiled. And it only has crew 1, so not that hard to crew. And it's got decent stats for 3 mana. Cheek. Emerald Radiant. This card I think has some potential for some combos. When it enters, you get a 1/1 green insect creature token for each artifact and or creature card in your graveyard. And I think it's really neat that it also counts artifacts. And then whenever another insect you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Otchik. Each opponent loses 1 life. So there's a couple of things that you can do with this. If you can find a way to double these triggers, right? So either playing Abzan or Sultai or some other color combination that allows you to have a trigger doubling effect. The best ones being Virtue of Knowledge and Elish Norn, Mother of Machines. You can double up on these insect creature tokens, and then if you have any other sacrifice outlet or aristocrats type effect, which we have that 2-mana 1/1 vampire warlock or whatever that deals damage when it dies. You've got Elias El Kor that deals damage when your creatures die. This guy deals damage when your creatures die. You can really honestly set up a pretty crazy combo kill with this without it being that hard. So I think this card has a lot of potential, and it's very neat. Thunderous Velocipede, 3-mana 5/5 trample vehicle with crew 3. Each other vehicle and creature you control enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it if its mana value is 4 or less. Otherwise, it enters with 3 additional +1/+1 counters on it. I'm sorry, what? 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 This is insane. This card's ridiculous. Like, I've already looked at this and I'm still like looking at it again like, what? Because it's not a creature, so unless your opponent is packing tons of artifact removal, this just sits on your board and makes everything you play huge. Like, you play little creatures, they come in with counters on them. Oh, I'll just play that Walker card that draws a billion cards when it dies. Like, or any number of other things. Or God forbid you play Kolodin and you play Naya and yeah, 3/5 Preacher. Like, oh my gosh, there's just so much to say about this card. Like, there's so many places that this card will fit in, and then it's still a 5/5 trample. So it's making everything else you play awesome, and then it's a 5/5 trampler still for 3 mana. That, like the crew 3 is almost irrelevant because there's so many good cards that have 3. You know, as in Golgari, you've got the Knight that draws you cards, and then it's a 3/2 trampler. So you crew this, and now you have a 5/5 trampler, and boy, this card's awesome. Basri, Tomorrow's Champion. I want this card to be good really, really bad because I love cats. I don't know if this goes in a cat deck. Yeah, turn 2 with elves. This card's going to be so busted. This is not a cat. But you can make cats with him. And then if you cycle him, he gives your cats hexproof and indestructible till end of turn. That's really neat. I want him to be good so bad, but I don't know if he will be. Zahur, Glory's Past. This is a zombie cat warrior. Like, what? These creature types, man. So zombie cat warrior, start your engines. It makes me really sad that they've tacked on activate only once each turn to this. It would be so amazing if this was just a sack outlet, but it's not. If you have max speed, whenever a non-creature token you control dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. That's actually really good. That's really awesome. So it's a solid creature. It's just a 3/2 for 2, and then you can sacrifice creatures to surveil. There's lots of creatures we don't mind sacrificing. You got Greedy Freebooter, so you can get in with your Greedy Freebooter and then sacrifice it to surveil and scry and get a treasure. Seems pretty good to me. Bulwark Ox. 1 mana 2/2. Whenever it attacks while saddled, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Sacrifice this creature. Creatures you control with counters on them gain hexproof and indestructible on the turn. It has saddle 1. I think this is a sweet card because when it attacks, it makes itself a 3/3, and you put that in a deck with Kolodin, and all of a sudden it's already saddled, so it comes in with haste, and then you put counters on Kolodin or Bulwark Ox, and then it protects all your cool stuff. So I like it, and I think it's a pretty sweet Ox. Caradora, Heart of Alacria. 4 mana 4/2, Human Knight. When it enters, you may search your library for a mount or vehicle card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. Thassa's Oracle, yeah. I miss Thassa's Oracle. Can we have Thassa's Oracle back in Standard? I miss Devotion. Can we have Devotion back in Standard? I miss Devotion. Anyway, if one or more counters would be put on a creature or vehicle you control, put that many +1 counters on it instead. +1. So put that many +1. So if it puts 2 counters on it, you get 3 counters instead. Another way to take advantage of putting extra counters on stuff. So now we have even more ways to add additional counters to things. So pretty ridiculous. And the fact that for 4 mana, you get a 4/2 that lets you tutor. And you get it into your hand, doesn't go on top of your deck or anything, so you draw it. There's a lot of good mounts and vehicles right now. Very solid card. All right, Lagoran, Soul of Alacria. So this is Caradora's partner here. You see the bat here in the background. But it's not a bat, it's a beast. It's a beast mount. 2 mana 1/1 flying. When it attacks while saddled, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target mounts and or vehicles with saddle 1. Very strong card. I think that Naya mounts is going to be a seriously interesting deck to look out for. Now we have the Boom Mobile. 4 mana 5/5. When this vehicle enters, add 4 mana of any one color. Spend this mana only to activate abilities, and then exhaust X, 2, and a red. This vehicle deals X damage to any target. Put a +1/+1 counter on this vehicle. This is kind of crazy because you can only spend it to activate abilities. Are there any activated abilities right now that blink? I don't actually know if there are any artifacts or enchantments that have activated abilities that blink things. trying to think. There's got to be a way to abuse it. Or even if you don't, even if you don't have an art, like even if you use just blink spells like Getaway Glamour or a Scroll Shift or something. I guess Scroll Shift only does that hit enchantments and creatures. I don't know. There's got to be some way to abuse this in standard and make more mana than it's supposed to make. But it has a pretty sweet exhaust ability, so you can basically just crush something, and then it's still a 5/5 with crew 2, so not bad. Redshift, Rocketeer Chief, 2 mana 2/3 with Vigilance. You can tap to add X mana of any one color, where X is his power, and then this mana can also only be spent to activate abilities. And then he has an exhaust of 12 to put any number of permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. That's really cool. I don't know how good that is, but it's not that. Sorry, hold on one second. Sorry about that. Okay. Anyway, we were talking about Redshift. So I don't know how easy it's going to be to pay that exhaust ability, but making his power a lot is not that difficult. So could probably activate this pretty early in the game. So, because you don't have to tap him for the exhaust. So you can tap him to add a whole bunch of mana equal to his power from powering him up with crazy things like Monstrous Rage and so many 1 mana pumps that pump 3 or more power. You could probably honestly do this on like turn 4 or 5 and then just put a whole bunch of permanent cards from your hand on the battlefield. There's going to be some kind of ridiculous deck that just plays Omniscience and this guy and finds ways to pump him into oblivion and then activate his ability. Rocketeer Boost Buggy, a 2 mana 3/2 vehicle. When it attacks, create a treasure and then exhaust 3. It becomes an artifact creature. Put a counter on it. So that's permanent. It just becomes a permanent artifact creature and gets the counter. So no longer a vehicle. It stays a creature. Far Fortune End Boss. This is a pretty sweet one. It is a Rakdos legend, 4 mana 4/5 with Starcher Engines. Whenever you attack, Far Fortune deals 1 damage to each opponent. So it immediately triggers the speed to go up on the turn it comes in, as long as you have something to attack with. And then once you hit max speed, if a source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +1 instead. That's pretty awesome. Very nice in an aggressive, like, mercenaries build or lizards even. Apocalypse Runner, 4 mana 6/5, and then you can tap it. Target creature you control with power 2 or less gains lifelink until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn. This is actually a pretty sweet vehicle, in my opinion. The life gain's pretty nice. Making something unblockable is pretty sweet. There's a lot of creatures that have good effects when they connect that we can take advantage of with a card like this. And Crew 3 is not terrible for a 6/5. Now we move on to Loot, the Pathfinder. Boy, is this card ridiculous. The fact that it has haste means if you play this when you have enough mana to cast it and activate one of its exhaust abilities, it's literally Dark Ritual, but for any color, Ancestral Recall, and Lightning Bolt. All on one creature. With haste. And he has Vigilance and Double Strike. Like, what? This card's ridiculous. This card is awesome. These are some really strong exhaust abilities. And they're also the only reason I think that 2/3 that lets you reactivate exhaust abilities could see play, because these are strong exhaust abilities to be able to reuse. So, yeah. Loot finally going to be competing, even though I think the loot from the last set was pretty cool too. I think he's pretty awesome, but he did die to cut down, and that's always bad when you pay 3 or 4 mana for something and it dies to a 1 mana spell. Never feels good. This one costs 5, but it does not die to cut down, thankfully. And boy, is he gonna be good. There is gonna be a teamer mid-range deck that takes advantage of this and makes people cry. I guarantee it. The Last Ride, Death Shadow in a vehicle. It's a 1 mana 13/13, and you can pay 2 life to draw a card, and then it gets -X, where X is your life total. So if you don't know what Death Shadow is, this is literally Death Shadow. Death Shadow is a 1 mana 13/13 creature that gets -X, where X is your life total. So when you get to 12 life, that's when this first starts to become a creature that you can actually attack with. And the lower your life total gets, the bigger it gets. So if your life total is 2 or 3, then it only gets -3. So, yeah. It's Death Shadow on a vehicle. And the fact that you can pay life and draw cards is pretty cool. That's a pretty nice addition there. So, Winter Cursed Rider. Is this supposed to be Winter from Duskmourn? Is this the same creature? The same? It's a human warlock. I think this is Winter from Duskmourn. 2 mana 3/2 ward, pay 2 life. Artifact creature or artifacts you control have ward, pay 2 life, and exhaust 2, a blue and a black. Tap it, exile X artifact cards from your graveyard. Each other non-artifact creature gets a -X till end of turn. I think that's a pretty sweet ability because it lets us one-sided board wipe our opponent if we are playing a lot of artifact creatures. And it says other non-artifact creatures, so he does not hurt himself. So I like it. I think that's a pretty cool ability. And it makes your opponent pay for everything they want to target. The loot is more than likely going to miss only because we're still in a format that needs to still answer a lot of creatures. I just think I agree. Like, it's definitely a creature that's going to eat a removal spell, but in a format where ramp is really good, like we have some really crazy ramp, playing him with a mana up on turn 3 or 4 is not that hard, because you literally go turn 1 elves, turn 2 overlord, turn 3 land, and you're talking about having the 5 mana right there. So, or no, because you get the land from the overlord. So yeah, you can play and activate this on as early as, hold on, let me make sure I'm doing my math right. Elves gives you 3 mana on turn 2, or sorry, turn 1 elf, you have 2 mana. Turn 2 overlord, now you have 3 mana, 4 mana. Turn 3 land. Okay, so 5 mana. So you can play this on turn 4 and activate it. So as long as you play it and you can activate it in the same turn, that's good enough. If I pay 5 mana for this and draw 3 cards and my opponent wastes a removal spell on it, I win. Like, that's amazing. If they don't have an answer for it, that's crazy. You can also make 3 mana of any one color, and these are not abilities that you have to activate as sorceries. You can do these anytime. I can draw 3 cards on my opponent's turn. I can bolt their creature after they play it. I can, make 3 mana and counter. It's 3 mana of any one color. So like if they have a removal spell, I can just be like, 3 steps ahead, sorry. Like, it's 3 mana of any one color. So you just make 3 blue and counter it with 3 steps ahead. I think this card's going to be really good. You just never play it for 5. Like, you never play it when you only have 5 mana. You always make sure you can play it and activate one of its abilities. As long as you can activate one of those abilities, it's insane. Because it's also got double strike, vigilance, and so like you're attacking with it that turn too. And it's got solid stats. So I would have to disagree that this is going to miss. I think this version of Loot is going to see play. Like, for real. It's really good. Moving on down the line, we have Guidelight Pathmaker. It's a 6-mana, 6/5 vehicle with vigilance. When it enters, you may search your library for an artifact card and reveal it. Put it onto the battlefield if its mana value is 2 or less. Otherwise, put it into your hand and shuffle. I don't know how good this is. The fact that you can tutor a 2-mana artifact onto the battlefield is really cool. But for 6 mana, that's a lot. I think if this was like 4 mana, it would be amazing. But at 6 mana, it's probably too much. The Aetherspark. Now, this card is crazy to me. It's colorless. You can play it in any deck. It's a 4-mana Planeswalker artifact equipment. As long as the Aetherspark is attached to a creature, the Aetherspark cannot be attacked and has whenever the equipped creature deals combat damage, not to a player, just combat damage. So even during combat, like just if it gets blocked, it doesn't have to connect. It just has to deal damage. Put that many loyalty counters on the Aetherspark, and then -5, draw 2 cards, -10, add 10 mana of any one color. This card's ridiculous. Like, you put this on an overstated 3-drop and smash with it, and even if it trades, like, you're talking about putting anywhere from 4 to 5 counters on it right away, because you can equip this to something the turn it comes into play. You play like we'll use the spider, the 3-mana spider, for example. 3 mana, that's a 4/3. It becomes a 5/4 because you +1 it and put a counter on it. You attack with it. If they block, 5 counters. If it gets through, 5 counters. Doesn't matter. Now it's at 9. Put it on a vigilance creature. It gets counters when it blocks too. I don't know. This card is not hot garbage. This is not hot garbage. It's not like insane, like, oh my god, crazy, but this has so much potential. And there's so many cards that, like, being able to pay that 10 mana for free, it's free. -10, add 10 mana? Like, what? Like, the things you can do with this are crazy. Like, you could put an Omniscience on the battlefield on, like, turn 5 with this and a creature. Pugnacious Hand. Yeah, if you have a dinosaur on the battlefield already, you'd have to probably play some 2-mana dinosaurs to make that work. But even if you just block with the dinosaur, though, the Orzhov 4/4, yeah, I mean, he, like, and every turn you make it bigger. Slap this onto Loot. Like, you play this and slap it onto your 3-drop and get some damage in, put some counters on it, then play Loot, plus it, attach it to Loot. Now you've got a 3/5 double striker. And it does damage twice. So you get 6 counters. Like, this card's stupid. This card's going to do something crazy in some deck. I know it. It's 4 mana. It's colorless, so it can go in any color. Like, I mean, come on. People thought the Kaito from the last set, from Duskmourn wasn't going to be good at first. And he's ridiculous. This lets you draw cards. It lets you buff creatures. It can't be attacked when it's attached to something. Like, this is crazy. Like, that's really cool. Mendicant Core Guidelight. This is an interesting one. 2 mana, star 3. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of artifacts you control. Has start your engines. Max speed. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay 1 if you do copy it. This has some potential for some super cool combos. I wish it had another keyword. I wish it had flying or first strike or something. But it's got potential. I love anything that says pay 1 and copy something, because paying 1 to copy some crazy artifact you cast is ridiculous. No, I can see that, but you build your deck in a way that you can put this on something every turn. You make sure like you're not playing this in something that doesn't play a lot of creatures. You're playing this in something that has a creature curve of 1, 2, 3. And then you slap this onto something and it can either just draw you cards later on in the game to refill your hand, or you cast it to cast some crazy spell. All right, so I don't know how to pronounce this. Vinwixt Verbose Host. I'm trying. Yeah, Mercadian Core I think is going to be really cool. I think there's some combo potential with it. Vinwixt Verbose Host. 2 mana, 0/4. You have no maximum hand size. Max speed if you would draw a card, draw 2 cards instead. That's actually pretty cool. If you can play this in like an Izzet Spellslinger like type of deck, it's a good blocker and you can draw a lot of cards. Like, I don't think the start your engines mechanic is that crazy, but this is a pretty sweet one. If any of the max speed cards are going to see play, this one will probably be one of them. And then we've got the lands. We also, I don't know why they're not on this list right now, but we found out that we're getting the other 5 Verges. So we are going to have the rest of the Verge cycle. So that's the Orzhov, the Azorius, the Gruul. No, I don't remember. Let me actually see if let me check the spoilers on Untapped and see if they have it. 'Cause they have a few more. Yeah, they have a few more cards on here. Yeah, so you've got the Golgari Verge. You've got this Verge, the Boros Verge, the Izzet Verge, the Simic Verge, and the Orzhov Verge. Yeah. And then we've got all these like lands that enter tapped unless you control a mount or a vehicle, and then they do a thing. She might be good with Zimone. I think that she might. I don't usually stream Brawl, but I do if you're not subscribed. When I usually every week I'll put up a poll to ask people what they'd like to see. I typically do standard, but if I can get enough people asking about Brawl, I would love to build some Brawl decks. Or even if I get enough people in chat asking for it, like I'll play some Brawl. But yeah, Simic God's pretty sweet. Weems, where are the cards you're talking about? Because I know you showed me one earlier. I'm really interested to see these first place cards in person. They're supposed to be gold foils. They look so weird like this, but I'm sure they're beautiful in paper. These are all just the treatments for the cards we went over. Well, let me look up spoilers. Oh, okay, these two. The one's a common. So hold on, let me zoom in on these. There's a lady's picture on them because I'm assuming that that's who got to reveal them. 4 mana for a 3/3. Whenever this creature attacks while it's saddled, untap it, put a counter on it. That's pretty sweet. And Thopter Fabricator for a 3 mana 4/4. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a Thopter. I think that's freaking good. Like, that's really good. Like, if you can draw 2 cards a turn, you're making free Thopters, and it's only a crew too, and it's a 4/4 flyer. That's really sweet. So, yeah. I think that's pretty awesome. So yeah, that is all of the spoilers that are currently up. So let's go ahead and swap back here, close that out. Yeah, so I think Aetherdrift is shaping up to be pretty sweet so far. I wasn't quite sure how I felt about it at first, but so far I like what I see. And I think that there is a lot of potential for this set to really shake up Standard, which lately, I mean, Foundation shook up Standard because of just the sheer number of cards that were added and some really powerful reprints, but normal sets have not been shaking up Standard that much. Like Outlaws added a few decks, but nothing too crazy. Murders at Karlov Manor. Duskmourn was probably the most impactful Standard set in recent history. Bloomburrow too, I guess. So Bloomburrow and Duskmourn, they really nailed it with those two sets. I think this set is going to do very well. How do I feel about max speed? I haven't seen enough of the cards. There's got to be a few more really good ones. There's a couple cards that I think the ability is very good on. My issue is that if you really want to take advantage of those cards, you need to have some cheaper cards with max speed. So depending on what kind of deck you're playing, because I think you have to play a card with max speed to get it started. It doesn't just like, everyone doesn't just have speed, you know, it's like day and night cycle. It doesn't start until you play a creature or a card that has day and night cycle, right? So it forces you to play cheaper creatures or things that have start your engines. So for me, my opinion on how good it is going to be determined by how many good, cheap creatures there are with start your engines. If there are a good suite of creatures or enchantments or artifacts or whatever that have start your engines that allow you to start gaining speed early in the game to make the larger ones pay off better, I think it'll be great. But so far we haven't seen a lot of cheap start your engines cards. We've seen the Hazaret in red, which he's really good. So that's a very solid 2-drop that starts your engines. I'd like to see a 1-drop that does it. I don't know if there has been one yet. I don't think there has been one that start your engines on turn 1 yet. So if we can get some 1-drops that do it, so that way you can get your max speed by turn 4, I think that would make the mechanic very strong. So, all right, let's move on to some arena. It's arena time. All right. Decks I have to play for you guys today. What kind of brawl decks do you like, Matthew? These are the two I have right now, Miram and Volos Tales. I have not updated either of them in a while, but they're very cool. If a couple people would agree with you, I wouldn't mind playing a few games, but I do have some pretty sweet standard brews to share with you guys today. We have a deck I'm calling Circuit City, which is based around Complete the Circuit, which is a card you probably don't know about because it's bad, but I wanted to make it good, so I built a deck around it. Abzan Ward, which is basically like my Golgari Ward deck, but Abzan. We have Fungus, which is a fungus-based graveyard deck that I built just because I thought it would be fun to play a bunch of 2-mana huge creatures that care about how many creatures are in the graveyard. And then we have this Lockdown Bounce deck that I built last week that I didn't actually play on the stream because I just didn't get around to it. We have a deck called the Long Shot, which is based around an infinite combo based with the Merfolk Detective from I forget what's it, from Murders at Karlov Manor, and Repent, which is where we're playing with Akul the Unrepentant, which is a scorpion dragon guy that you might have forgotten about that lets you sacrifice creatures to put creatures from your hand onto the battlefield. So let me see here. I think the first deck I'd like to show you guys is probably Circuit City, because I've been having a lot of fun with this stupid deck. All right, this deck is ridiculous. I'm gonna let you look at it for a second and see if you can figure out what we're trying to do. It should take you a minute. All right. The plan is to put creatures on the battlefield through things like Storm Chaser's Talent, Song of Totensands, Fear of Isolation, Bouncing Storm Chaser's Talent, Stormcatch Mentor, and Feybloom Trick, and Invasion of Segovia. Invasion of Segovia says, when it flips, we get a 3/3 that says non-creature spells you cast have Convoke. At the beginning of your end step, untap up to 4 target creatures. This basically lets us cheat on mana on some big spells. What are the big spells we're cheating on? We're cheating on Outrageous Robbery, Exsanguinate, Breach the Multiverse, Season of Weaving, Push-Pull, things like that. And then we also have 2 copies of Mind Splice Apparatus to reduce those costs even further, along with 4 Stormcatch Mentors to reduce those costs again even further, and Ral Crackling Wit to eventually storm off and go crazy. And basically what we're trying to do is complete the circuit. This says you may cast sorcery spells this turn as though they had flash. It's 6 mana, it has Convoke, and when you cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell twice. So we're either doing that with Song of Totensands to make 1,000,000 rat tokens to attack our opponent, or copying Breach the Multiverse twice, or exsanguinating our opponent into oblivion, or outrageous robberying them, or pulling their entire graveyard from the battlefield. This one's pretty interesting because it's a source. If we do it like once their end step has already begun, we can do it at the end of their turn and then still attack with it all during our turn. So, it's ridiculous, but I've been testing it, and I'm actually right now 4-3 with it, which doesn't sound amazing, but this deck is ridiculous. And I'm positive win rate with it. So let's try it. They've definitely been some of the funnest wins. Nothing like making... I had one game where I made 21 rat tokens at the end of my opponent's turn. That was like turn 6. So... Mardruganoob. Or is it Mad Ruganoob? I don't know. We get to go first. This is a little unfortunate because we can't cast our Mentor. I'm going to keep it anyway. Play the Streven Reef and then hopefully... Oh, this is my first time getting to see my new pet from the pre-order. Oh, he's so cool. Balustrade Worm. They put that in the yard. That's smart. Hey, Mentor. All right, let's see if our Mentor lives. We'll take our beats. Now looks like they have removal for it. They keep touching it, so fear of missing out. Sure. So this is Gruul Delirium. Oh, this sucks. I really wish this was a blue land. It's not a blue land, though. Alright, I think I'm gonna play it anyway. This is not going great. Mostly just because our colored mana is kind of off. But we have some serious potential next turn. See if they have Monstrous Rage or something ridiculous. Alright, we're down to 9. Okay. Here's where things get fun though, right? No attacks, pass a turn. And then when they go to combat, we get to have fun. All right, so tap, tap, complete the circuit. And then we're gonna Fey Bloom Trick and tap all their things and make 6 tokens. Opponent is trying to figure out what the hell's going on. They're literally just like, what does that do? We're tapping all your stuff, bro. All right. Tap your dude. Tap your dude. Tap your dude. All right. That was fun. So this went from feeling pretty dire to being pretty awesome. So I'm digging it. I'm having a good time. I would like to draw a land, and then we can go crazy with Song of Totensands. Nice! All right, here we go. All right, so we're gonna complete the circuit. We're gonna tap, 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 tap. Prowess, prowess. And then Song of Totensands for 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Prowess, prowess. Make 18 tokens. I bet when this game started, the last thing you thought was that we were about to win this game, because this game did not start good. But look at it. Look at it. It's glorious. We just put together the like if you showed somebody this pile of cards and told them that we won against a decent Gruul Delirium. Yep. Oh, that was glorious. I'm so glad that worked out like right away. First game. All right, now if we get our butts kicked the entire rest of the time, at least you know the deck works. That was awesome. All right. A Neurolamo. We get to go first. No blue mana. This is better. Keep. We will put back Exsanguinate. Dark Slick Shores. I love this new pet. Meow, 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 meow. Look at his little happy face. Opponent mills a land. Alright, that's pretty cool. We need to draw a third land, so I'm going to play Storm Chaser's Talent just in case we don't draw a third land. We drew a third land. Very nice. Alright. I should have tapped that differently. Don't be bad like me and let the auto tapper ruin your life. Because now I can't replay the Storm Chaser's Talent this turn. And it was well worth the 1 life to do so. Stupid auto tapper. That's what I get for being lazy. When you're playing pain lands, you gotta be careful with the auto tapper. The good news is, if they don't have a counter or okay, Enduring Innocence. So I'm gonna play Storm Chaser's Talent, Invasion of Segovia, and we're gonna go after this. He's definitely gonna block with Enduring Innocence because he doesn't care about that dying. But at least we get that down to 2. We do need a sweet target for our complete the circuit. Push-pull not going to be super great against our opponent. This is one of the most animated pets so far. I like it. What's our opponent doing? Passing the turn. You didn't like this. Elspeth's Smite. That's fine. Do they have removal for one of our Krakens, our little baby Krakens? What's Kraken lacking? Salt Partition, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. If I draw an untapped land, I don't have anything to take advantage of my complete the circuit right this minute, and getting this leveled up is pretty awesome, so. Opponent is passing the turn again. Stormcatch Mentor is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and play him. Opponent is gonna do something. What is it? What are you gonna do? I don't know if I want to attack my Invasion of Segovia anymore. We're probably gonna get just like toasted by a board wipe here. I'm gonna go like this. I don't want to attack with Stormcatch Mentor and get blown out by a fish. Opponent does block with the fish. Or not. Never mind. Me thinks they're gonna Sunfall then. Oh, come on, don't Sunfall me, bro. Don't Sunfall me, bro. Caretaker's Talent. That I'm fine with. You want to make fish? You make fish. I just need to draw a good card to take advantage of complete the circuit. Exsanguinate, Song of Totentanz. We got lots of good stuff. Just gotta draw it. Oh, come on. Don't mess with... No! No! That was so rude. That was so rude. That was rude, right? That was totally rude. Okay, well now every time we cast an instant or sorcery, we get an otter. This means even if he does wipe the board, we can rebuild. What you got, opponent? What you gonna do with all them tokens over there? What are they gonna do with all them tokens? Another Caretaker's Talent. Beautiful. Well, they're gonna have gigantic fish soon if we're not careful. So we gotta draw something soon. Oh, they made their fish gigantic now. Another Stormcatch Mentor. Okay. Ooh, I like that. Okay. That's a thing we can do. Yep, they make another 3/3. You got it, opponent. Draw 2 cards. Their Enduring Innocences don't draw them cards anymore, at least. Fountain Port. Yep. No blocks. I will take my 6, and I will like it. They got a board wipe. Now's the turn. They need it now. Lockdown. Ooh. Oh, that is rough. Oh, that sucks. That is a board wipe. Man, that just wrecked our day. I don't think there's a whole lot more I can do anymore. Yep. I'm just gonna not put you guys through another hour of gameplay after we just got wrecked. Temporary lockdown, definitely a weakness. But that's the case for a lot of decks, so can't feel too bad about it. If we'd gotten one more turn, we would have been fine. We could have copied 3 steps ahead like a billion times. Made a million Stormcatch Mentors, made a bunch of Otters. It was gonna be great, guys. This looks awesome. We'll keep. Opponent goes first. Makes me feel a little sad. We just need to draw a land. Oh, mono red. Okay. Feeling a little less excited. I've beat mono red though, I have. Heartfire Hero, yep. And Swift Spear. Look at them with their World Championship sleeves. Stormcatch Mentor. As much as I don't want to, I will attack to get rid of that Heartfire Hero. If they want to block, that would make me so happy. Nice. Okay. That is a lot of damage potential off the board. It's like, it sucks to have to give up my cost reduction, but getting rid of that guy is importante. I'm gonna Feybloom Trick. And then we'll cast Invasion. And that might get us there, maybe. Alright, so we got a Feybloom Trick now. We're gonna tap the Emberheart Challenger, because that's gonna be the card they want to target with their pump spells. To get the extra draw. Why? That made no sense. They must have just wanted to land that bad. And that's why it was a good choice. Alright. Problem is, I could block the claw. Let's see if they touch anything in response to this. Oh, this is such a risk. Yeah, they have it. Okay. It's still less damage to our face. Oh, but it's turn inside out, so they lose their claw and they get a Manifest Dread. So that could have still been a lot worse. At least it wasn't Monstrous Rage. Alright. And they found a third land. Let's play Invasion of Segovia. We're probably still gonna die. It's highly unlikely we're winning this, but I'm gonna try. Another Emberheart Challenger is bad news for us. It means we're taking 5 no matter what. Yeah, we're toast. Mono red on the play. It is what it is. I'm not giving up on this deck, though. Because I beat him on a red deck on the play earlier. Number 1731, Land Rat. All right, let's drag down their win rate a little bit. Restless Reef. Llanowar Elves for our opponent. Mentor. Absolutely willing to trade. Yep. Guardian of New Benalia. Interesting. Not gonna attack with this one. Guardian of New Benalia. Haven't seen that card in a while. Wonder what they're playing. Unidentified hover ship. All right. Well, that's rude. 10 out of 10. Do not appreciate. Let's go get another black mana. Okay, let's go get another blue mana. Pass a turn. We'll Feybloom Trick at the end of this turn. Yeah, they can still crew their hover ship, but we can block the hover ship and then get Manifest Dread, which is not terrible. They just let it get tapped. And they play Wily Duke, Atlan Hero. I love this guy. This is a card I think is going to be very good in the Naya shell. Exsanguinate. All right. Get in for 2. I would like another land. That would be super awesome. Wiltleaf Liege. Well, we have to counter that. Can't allow that. Wily Duke and Guardian of New Benalia are also a very good combination. Give Guardian +4 and draw a card and gain a life. It's a pretty sweet combo. Opponent just getting in. Oh, okay. And they get the Scry too. Well, that's a really sweet high value combo there. I like that. Stormcatch Mentor. Very good draw. Get in for 3. Pass a turn. Plaza of Heroes. Luckily, Guardian is not legendary, so I can still tap it. Tristani. Okay. Let's tap Guardian. Opponent is going to crew this time. I'm going to block here in case he decides to give one of these guys double strike. It would most likely be Wily Duke. Malira, the Living Cure. This is basically just green, white Wilt Leaf Liege. We're gonna die though, if we're not careful. We need to draw a land and our Stormcatch mentors to live so that we can breach the multiverse. Oh, this is not looking pretty. Man, I was having so much fun with this deck earlier. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't try to pretend this was a meta deck. It's not. It's terrible, terrible on the surface, but it's a really fun concept. All right, so we gotta block everything, or we probably die. You know what? I'll block like this. Keep one fairy. If he wants to give Malira a double strike, that's fine. He chose not to. That's good. Alright, he's got a handful of stuff, so what's he got? Paw Patch Recruit, sure. Come on, untapped land, please. Please, 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 please. Land. Oh my gosh, oh, that is rough. That's not an untapped... No! It's a tapped land. There's the untapped land. Oh no, we're dead. I can exsanguinate for 4. Does that let me live at all? There's no way. You can just give multiple things double strike, and these things have trample. Yeah, we're toast. Okay. All right, all right. I'll move to something more competitive. You guys got to see the fun awesomeness, though, in the first game, at least. It has a lot of potential. I just need to keep tweaking it, I think. So let's move on from Circuit City. Let's play... Repent! I guess I should show you the deck first. I guess I'll show you the deck. Alright, this is the deck. It is... Make tokens and cheap creatures and play Akul the Unrepentant and use his ability to sacrifice 3 other creatures and put big giant Atalis or Valgavas or Massacre Worms onto the battlefield. That's the deck. It's real easy. We can also snatch something with Twisted Fealty and sacrifice it to Akul, or any number of other cool things we can do. We've also got a single copy of Lich Knight's Conquest to get back these from the graveyard if we need to. It's pretty simple. We just try to play Akul on turn 4 and hopefully have 3 creatures, and then it's sort of like Reanimator, but more fun in my opinion, because it's less reliant on the graveyard. And the shell works and does damage without having to... Like, we don't need the Akul combo. Meticulous Archive. Probably dealing with temporary lockdowns. Founding of the Third Path. Ooh. I'm gonna go ahead and cut down my own freebooter here. We need lands. I want to get to 6 lands as quickly as possible so we can push-pull their stuff. If I don't draw a land, though, I might still play an Urabrask's Forge here. So this actually looks like Oculus. There's an Akul. Ah, this is annoying. Okay. I've got 2 removal spells that I can cast for 2 mana, so maybe this Urabrask's Forge will just take us home. Well, they do have soul partitions in the deck. That would suck. Haughty Jin. You got it, pal. Nothing like paying 4 life for Bitter Triumph. I hate losing games because I can't draw lands. It's my least favorite thing. The good news is if he does Helping Hand, it comes in tapped and I can kill it with Push-Pull. And as soon as I draw a 3rd land, I get to play Lord Skitter, which lets me exile stuff from his graveyard, so... If he's smart, he'll get Soul Partition and get rid of our Forge, yeah. That is the correct play. That is very annoying. Hey! We did it. Make a rat, exile the Jin. Meticulous Archive. Split up. Oh, that's just rude, bro. Ah, cool. The Unrepentant. See, he's nice, because even if we don't ever get to use his ability, he's still a 4-mana 5/5 flying trample, which I think is pretty swell. Opponent is charting their course. Discarding, negate. Split up again. Come on, land. That's not a land. Alright. Well, if we don't draw a land next turn, I'm just going to move on. Moment of truth. Probably countering our Urbrask Forge. It looks like they actually have a way to reanimate the Jin there. Yep. Chart a course. We're at 13, so they don't have to make him too much bigger. Yep. I guess I'll let them have their victory. Yeah, okay. Well, now I'm going to concede because now you're being a jerk. I was going to let you get your attack in and feel good about yourself, but then you're like, aha, good game, mill, mill, mill. Like, come on, dude. That's bad manners. We don't have bad manners. The only time it's acceptable to do more than you need to is if you're playing a crazy combo and you just, like, it's the only time I think it's acceptable to BM is when you're trying to show off a really cool combo. This looks good, we'll keep. Black Cleave Cliffs. And a greedy freebooter. Gloom Lake Verge for the opponent. Play a Blazemire Verge and get in with our booter. Booter, 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 booter. Treasure everywhere. My turn. Ooh, Urbrask Forge is nice. Dost thou have a counter, Jamaicus? Looks like they do. Oh no, it's that deck. Oh, maybe not. What? Unholy Annex. So confused. Mirex. So are they a poison control list that just happens to be playing Unholy Annex? If it's poison control, they don't need Unholy Annex. Nowhere to run. No! Don't kill my freebooter, please. I'm cool with that. And if we draw land next turn, we can play a Tali. Opponent probably has removal for our Skitter. Hey, they're letting us get a rat. Mistake, sir. Should have done that before we went to combat. Land, they're gonna make a demon. Yep. You're super cool, man. Now they're draining us. See if I can trick them. Ah! Wait, no, it doesn't work how I thought it did. Okay, I tricked myself. Oh no. Because that doesn't work how I think it does. Damage doesn't make it small enough to die to cut down. Oh, I made a mistake. Mistakes have been made. Hidetsugu and Kar. What is this nonsense? Why are they playing Bring the Ending in this list? Hey! Give me that card on top. What'd you put? What'd you put on top? What'd you put on top? Yay, land. Let's exile Hidetsugu. Alright. We're still in very real danger of dying here. But I'm feeling better. Nowhere to run, sure. Skitter goes bye-bye. I really just need a way to get rid of this demon. Wasting an Anoint with Reflect. Oh. That was such a waste. Bitter Triumph, there we go. Get rid of the demon. It's unlikely they have. Oh. Well, that's just mean. Oh, we don't have enough mana! Well, I have to do this because they can make 2 Murex tokens and kill me. Oh, we're just dead? Okay. GG. Nothing like control decks to make you want to just go jump off a bridge. Westphalia. See if we can turn our luck around. Opponent goes first. This isn't unreasonable. This is an okay hand. Sulphurous Springs. Hopeless Nightmare. That was a really good draw. Disturbing Mirth. That's a combo. Alright, see what they do with their scry. 2 on the bottom. Dragon Fodder. Get in for 1. We play Cavern of Souls on Dragon so that we can cast Akul. I think there's only one cavern or two caverns in the deck, just to make sure we can cast Akul through a counterspell. Another Disturbing Mirth. Draw 2 more cards and Manifest Dread. Opponent's doing the thing. Gotta type it. Dragon. And Urbrask's Forge. I'm gonna get in. If they want to block a random token, that's fine with me. I got more. And getting as much damage in as possible is probably going to be my only hope of winning this. So who knows what's under that manifest? I'm dreading it! They've manifested my dread! Raucous Theater. They surveil and get rid of a land. What you gonna do with 3 mana? Another Disturbing Mirth, jeez. Do you think they've drawn enough cards this game? I don't think they have. I don't think they've gotten enough value out of their 2 mana spells this game. I think they need more. Need more mana. Opponent not getting in, alright. Lord Skitter! I will exile their Disturbing Mirth. Get in, get in. Attacking with the freebooter is good because they probably do not want to block it and let us get the treasure and the scry. They do block the... Oh! Look at them! Yes, I actually do want that. Alright, I'm sure our Lord Skitter is not making it through this turn with, like, what, 9 cards in their hand? How many cards? Greed's Gambit. What? Not gonna lie, I'm a little confused about that choice. It draws a lot of cards. Hopeless Nightmare. Let's get rid of Dragon Fodder. Push-pull might be our best hope of winning. Alright, Raucous Theater. Interesting. Surprised they did that. Harmless Offering. So they are playing Harmless Offering. Unfortunately for them, we're kind of like resistant to Harmless Offering a little bit. Are they gonna pass it to us? I'm imagining this is also a Demonic Pact deck. Yep, there's the pact. Unfortunately, I think that is game for them. Well, they might just they might have removal, but this is pretty good though here. Looks like they do have removal for the Masker Worm. That's okay though. We still get a rat. We're gonna exile their Harmless Offering. Still get in for a lot. Opponent's at 1. Okay, now they can deal 4 damage and gain 4 life. Or they can draw cards and... But I don't see them getting completely out of this. This pet is so hilarious. Yep, okay. Now they need to deal with the rest of our board though, and they still need to have removal for the Forge token. And they need to also somehow Harmless Offering us. Because they need to give us the Greed's Gambit. Deadly Cover Up, not gonna do it. They lose 2, discard. And then that should be game. GG. Nice try. With your Harmless Offerings. You're not tricking us, we know what's up. Alright. We got a win out of it. Let's try something else. Let's play some Abzan Ward. Why not? Oh, I guess I keep... Okay. Queued up too quickly. I was gonna show you the deck, but... This is an ambitious deck, though. I will keep. It's a little risky, but... The only thing that sucks about this deck is it does do very poorly against Nowhere to Run. But Nowhere to Run is not in every deck. And when Nowhere to Run's not in the deck, this deck is very good. Get in for 3. Pass the turn. Would have been nice to draw a land there, but... Moment of Truth. Okay, well if they end up reanimating an Oculus here, I'm gonna be glad that we kept up some mana for Get Lost. They're thinking very hard about this Moment of Truth. Alright, Forest Dispersal in the yard. So they do have 1 mana bounces. Chart Course, sure. I would like to draw a land, please. Opponent discards land. I'll take it. Can I have your land? Pretty please. It's land! It's tapped land, but that's okay. We didn't have anything to play on 3 anyway. We do have 3 drops, but not in our hand at the moment. Thrun is another card that I miss and feel like people don't give enough love to. He's very difficult to target. Opponent is drawing all the cards. And discarding... I assume eventually they're going to discard a Djinn. Was that it? Nope, another land. Flood Farm Verge. They seem very annoyed that they can't target this. Ah, give me lands! I don't want to waste my Sheltered by Ghosts just to double up on the ward. Moment of Truth. Well, eventually when they reanimate something, we're gonna get rid of it. forever. They've been really thinking about these moments of truth. I feel like they're really not liking the truth they're getting. Meticulous archive. They mill another Afara's dispersal. Chart another course. Is that all 4 charter courses? No. 3. Land, please. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I guess we'll do this while they can't target it. This is unfortunate because now we can't get lost, but I'm not going to start discarding cards. This is very obnoxious. But I mean, now they have to pay 4 mana to target this, which is pretty hilarious. Repair and... oh... okay. Oh. Okay. I'm sitting here thinking this is a Jin deck, and it's not. That is not a Jin deck. All right, come on. Let's have a game where we draw lands and can cast spells. I mean, we almost killed him with a 3-1, so that was pretty funny. Archmage Warlock. I played this guy before. I always talk about how his name doesn't make a lot of sense. Opponent's going first. This is a great hand. Need another black mana. Spyglass Siren. Pawpatch Recruit. Swamp. Nowhere to run. Oh, okay. Our deck does nothing. I am not having good luck tonight. I am not having good luck tonight with you guys. I keep trying to show you guys fun stuff, and I keep running into the stuff that makes it bad. Fear of Isolation, so we know he's gonna pick that back up. You have an untapped land? Yep. Alright. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. I'm getting frustrated because everything I try to show you guys, I've tested all this stuff prior to this stream. And it all does perfectly fine, but we're just running into this, like, immediately getting punished for playing Ward. I'm not gonna give up. Alright. Let's keep trying, because this is a really good deck. The first game we lost because we never saw lands. In that game we just ran into the one card that shuts our deck down immediately. This is a bad hand. This is better. Is it though? It is. We need a white land, but we have a lot of white lands in the deck. Come on, opponent. Keep. We'll put back the Get Lost for now. Copperline Gorge. Alright. Our Pawpatch Recruit's probably getting burned away, but that's okay. Some local Honor Guard. They have something. Oh, okay. Well, now if they want to burn it away, we at least get to put a counter on the Honor Guard. Why? That was such a bad... Like, you definitely did that in response to me casting the Honor Guard. 100%. They gave me a free counter. If we draw a white land... we can just start gaining 1,000,000 life. If we don't draw a white land, we still can play Innkeeper's Talent. Manifold Mouth. All right, come on, white land. Untapped white source, please. Does it take that long to decide whether you want to give double strike or trample? Nice, we did it. And now he can never target it, ever. Ward 4. And we have Tyvar stand to back it up. There we go. See, that's what the deck's supposed to do. There we go. Now we're cooking with grease. Got a free pyroclasm. All right, Leah Fizzin. We get to go first. This is slow, but we're on the play. I'm gonna keep. Because we have a catch-up mechanic. Hello! Look, goes Mooch. Oh, it's red. Okay, but we have a lot of life gain. I'm really hoping I draw a Tomoko Honor Guard. Bolt Wave, okay. So is it more the burn variant of the deck? And a Monstrous Rage? That's a lot of damage in one turn. Oh, okay. That seems a little wasteful. Alright, well if they can't kill me this turn, or remove this Flesh Gorger, which I'm sure they can, they probably have Lightning Strikes. But they need the Lightning Strike this turn. Hired Claw is not it. Heartfire Hero, also not it. Heartfire Hero, not it. I'm gonna play this like this, and then I'm gonna play... And then we'll see if we can get him to block with all three things. In their brain, if they block all three with all three things, one of their things live and my thing dies, but they don't know that we have Tyvar stand. Ha ha ha! Oops. I love this deck. It's really good against any aggressive decks. You're welcome to attack, sir. More Sheltered by Ghosts. We didn't have enough Sheltered by Ghosts, so we got some more. I'll try to put one on this Paw Patch Recruit. Eat it. Get in the shelter. And we're back up to a casual 20 life. Just like we were at the beginning. We've come full circle, folks. Opponent gives us the GGs. 3 mana, 20 damage. Do they want to block? I should have sheltered by ghosted it, honestly. I forgot that this one can deal damage to any target. I'm so used to Heartfire Hero hitting face, but I did actually forget for a moment. Oh, that's a mistake. He just screwed himself. He could have actually killed the Paw Patch recruit if he just let it die. Now he doesn't have mana to pay for the ward. Oops. Sorry. Why did you pay the life? He must have just wanted to die. I feel like we're dealing with an opponent who doesn't know how ward works. Come on, opponent. Yeah, they keep like hovering over the Flesh Gorger, like, why didn't it die? I paid the life. I did. I paid the life. They burst lightning themselves. They're not gonna let me kill them. They wanted to do it themselves. I don't blame them. All right, it is PDA 041376. Feel like that is a birth date. Usually not a great idea to put your birthday out there like that. We go first. I don't know how I feel about this because it's like we got a 1-drop and then removal for 2 turns, but like this does not feel a lot better, but just felt like that hand just didn't do enough. This is slower, but it's also more powerful. Johnny's Pride, mate. We're definitely gonna eat that when we get the chance. Lupin Flower Village for the opponent. And they have their own Sheltered by Ghosts. Great. Unfortunate. What in God's name am I gonna do about that? I guess I'm gonna play another one of these and then hope it sticks around for a turn. Wow. Very poor luck. Okay. All right. Well, they can't kill this. They have nothing in their graveyard to collect evidence with, so. Why? Do you not understand what's about to happen, sir? This has Death Touch, and now we're gonna get a 7/5 Phyrexian Flesh Gorger back. Thank you. Oh, they just screwed themselves so hardcore. Thank you. Well, we turned that game around quick. Essence Channeler, sure. goodness. They can double block, but they're choosing not to. Alright, we're up to 25. Getting the land down so that if we draw any more Flesh Quarters, we have the means to cast them. Another Essence Channeler. Caves of Koilos is not fantastic. Have to block with Linden. Hey, they're willing to pay the life. They can gain half of it back here. Well, we managed to, they gained so much life. Oh, that's annoying. We need a removal spell. That is not a removal spell. Essence Channeler doesn't have trample. Pride Mate is annoying. Alright, come on, removal spell. I don't even know if it matters at this point. Nah, alright. They got us. We just drew too many lands. They didn't draw any lands, and we drew too many lands, but the difference is they didn't need the lands. They were perfectly content to have 3 lands that whole game. Alright, let's move on to something else. Alright, let's see if we can win with this ridiculous deck. This is another deck that probably has no business being played, but it's an infinite combo deck based around Forensic Researcher. 2 copies of this, plus Deeproot Pilgrimage equals infinite Merfolk tokens. We have several ways to take advantage of this. Enduring Courage and Impact Tremors to deal damage with the infinite tokens. Agatha's Soul Cauldrons to exile these and put counters on other merfolk like Mistway Spy or Voldarian Hexcatcher. And as long as we have a non-token copy of this on the field, we can tap and untap. It's better if we have 2 non-token copies of it, but we can make copies with 3 steps ahead. And we can also just win with Voldarian Hexcatcher. Got some removal, and yeah, that's it. It's infinite combo time. Let's do it. These are the only kind of infinite combos I approve of, to be honest. Ones that actually require some real work to set up. Go ahead and play Mistway Spy. Does it live? Duress. If they're smart, they'll get rid of Cauldron, but they might want to get rid of Triumph. Pilgrimage is good. We need to get a red here with this Fable Passage. Alright, we're making tokens. We're doing the thing. Opponent's copying us, playing Fable Passage on turn 3. I'm offended. Copying my plays. I'm playing Golgari, so I wonder what brand of Golgari. Look. Let's get a mountain. Another Mistway Spy. Tear Asunder. How about no? No, no, no. I like my pilgrimage. Thank you very much. Alright, opponent cracks their passage. And thankfully, we have tokens to sacrifice to this Hexcatcher to protect our stuff, so... They get a forest. Ghost Vacuum, sure. You can vacuum all the ghosts you want. And that's getting Bitter Triumphed. Nope. Get out of town. Now they can Ghost Vacuum our graveyard and get a free land. Feeling pretty good about where we're at, though. Opponent's at 9. Oh. That's annoying. Free Strider Lookout. Has reach. Opponent's gonna eat our Mistway Spy. Or not. I would think they would have eaten the creature over the land, but that's just me. Iridescent Vine Lasher. Sure. Owie. Ping in our face. Hey. That's pretty good. Actually, no, because I want to attack with it. Outrageous Robbery. He's just dead, though. We got too many attackers. Block, block, block. Still take 6. GG, opponent. See, we don't have to infinite combo, so we can just win the good old-fashioned way. But when we do infinite combo, it's super cool. Alright, let's see if we can get an infinite combo off. That would make my night. Getting this combo off on stream would be super fun. We get to go first. Man, this land situation's no bueno. This is better. I think for now we put Tremors back. Lush Portico, so we gotta kill them before they sunfall us. Up the beanstalk. I'm tempted to sacrifice this Mistway Spy to get rid of that. I think I'm gonna. Oh, don't give me this sleepy sticker, dude. Don't be rude. Play your Overlord of the Hauntwoods. Or Caretaker's Talent. That's fine, I suppose. Oh my gosh, we are drawing all lands now. There's the Overlord of the Hauntwoods. Opponent draws a card. And now we're getting Sunfall next turn, I imagine. So I am not gonna play Enduring Courage into Sunfall. Split up. That is annoying. Go get a mountain. All the ramping. Say no to that. I'm sure they have another one. Yep. How'd I know? How did I know? It's like I'm some kind of... some kind of psychic or something. Get lost. Sure. I'm totally cool with that. My biggest fear was that you were going to exile it. Sure. It's a lot of damage. Well, they take the risk and get in there. Alright, I would like a land off this one so that I have something to discard to this Bitter Triumph. Never mind. Oh well. Domain is domain. Well, it's not really domain anymore. I guess it's like Selesnya Overlords. Grimp 87. This looks good to me. I see half the combo in the hand. Opponent's going first, playing a plains and a bat. Alright. We're gonna play a Mistway Spy. I now have 2 forensic researchers. So I just need a land. And for them not to remove my forensic researchers. Essence Channeler. I mean, at this point, I will block their bat if they attack with it. They're smart and they don't. Alright, as long as they don't have a way to gain too much additional life this turn, I still can cut down the channeler next turn. I need land. Give me the land. They're gonna shelter by ghost my Mistway Spy? It's annoying. What? Do they not understand how life works? That was a boo-boo. We had the infinite combo in hand too, man. Like, would have been a cool way to win. Ready, Zimmy 1088. Zimmy. We get to go first. I will take it. We'll go get a swamp here. All right. No removal spell for that. Maybe I want the cavern, actually. I wanted to keep the Mistway Spy, but this way I can play deeper pill. Oh, I don't know why. I'm just, apparently my opponents are just not having a good time of it now. Now I'm the one getting overly lucky. I'm not getting to showcase my deck. People are just giving up. Not fair. Come on. Let's play Magic. Let's do the thing. Monduissimo. Or Monduismo. Opponent goes first. I like this hand, I just would like an untapped land. Hey, we did it! I would like this to live. Doesn't look like it's gonna live. Do I play Deeper Pilgrimage? I think I flash in Hexcatcher. Alright, and if they want to remove this, I might be able to counter it. If it's not a 1-mana burn spell. Oh. It's annoying. Make him merfolks. Oh, come on. Stop killing my stuff, man. And we're just drawing all the lands. Opponent is drawing none of the lands. Not gonna complain about that. I'm gonna go get a mountain with this so that we have the second mountain. And I'm not going to play Forensic Researcher this turn because I want to have 3 steps ahead to back it up. Do they have a counter spell? Nope. Alright. Well, our opponent is not drawing lands, but you know what? If I get to infinite combo, I don't care. Alright, I'm gonna play Enduring Courage. Oh, come on. Rude. I'll hold up Bitter Triumph. That was rude. All right. Do they have a counter? They do. That's just so rude. Opponent is basically doing nothing. And we still can't get there. Gonna have to give him the beat down then, I guess. They finally found a third land. They're probably like, yes, Brotherhood's End. Seize the spoils. Nope, it's a Cursed Recording deck. Hey, you know what? I got respect for that. I know CGB did a video about that today. Say hello to my little octopus. We won, but at what cost? All right, we got about 20 minutes left. Let's play another deck. Let's play the Lockdown Bounce deck. Why not? This deck's ridiculous and stupid. And it's based on a meta deck, so... Seeing Severin playing something that's almost meta. Speaking of which, I am thinking about having a a Monday-based video called Meta Mondays, where I do try to play something that is actually meta, maybe with a little bit of my own twist on it. So let me know in the comments how you'd feel about that. Seeing Severin playing something that is actually meta here and there. Bandit's talent. Make the opponent discard the things. We need some lands. Authority of the Consuls was a good call on one, I think. Feather of Flight. Because I'm sure that they have mice in there somewheres. We need some lands. It's like the theme of the night. I need lands. I'm playing enough lands. Slowed our opponent down a little bit, though. Heartfire Hero. And Manifold Mouse. Alright, come on, land. That's not a land. This is frustrating. If we'd found a land by now, we could have Wishclaw Talisman and gone and gotten temporary lockdown, and we could already be having fun. But we cannot find a third land. Ethereal Armor. Sure. See if he gives a double strike or trample. Gives a trample. Smart man. Another Manifold Mouse. Okay. Well, at least this town ain't big enough, gives us something to do this turn. Double strike and trample. I guess the question is whether or not they have, they didn't attack with Scavenger, so I think they don't. But I could be wrong. Do they have Shard Mage's Rescue? They don't. Alright. Can we draw a land, please? Pretty please, can we draw a land? Because we have a great hand. We just need to draw a land. Well, that gets us a land. You know what? I'll take it. It gets us a land. This guy's very explodey. Slowly but surely, we're finding our lands. This Heartfire here is going to kill us if we don't do something soon. Saves us a little bit of damage. Wishclaw Talisman. I think we're dead though. Yeah, that'll do it. That sucks. We lost this game literally because we couldn't find a land for like a billion turns. And we still almost won. If we had been able to make it one more turn, we could have Wishclaw Talisman for the temporary lockdown and just shut their board off. Unfortunately, we were just a turn too late. Gee whiz. Golly, gee willikers, Batman. Okay, shouldn't have the same problem with this hand. Hushwood Verge. The nightmare is hopeless. Opponent discards hard-hitting question. Innkeeper's Talent, sure. Couldn't get Prophetic Prism down. Draw a card. Hey, look, a lockdown. Bristly Bill. Nightmare. Clay-fired bricks. Opponent plays plains, grows their Bristly Bill. Goldvein Hydra. Beautiful. Well, that takes care of that problem. Very neatly wipes our opponent's board away. And then starting next turn, we can just keep bouncing it and replaying it. Drawing cards, gaining life, trashing our opponent's hand. This is what the deck is supposed to do. So starting this turn, you will start to get to see it in action. So I'm gonna pass a turn. Well, this town ain't big enough on their turn. Now they have to discard the Contaminator and the other card. Goldvein Hydra just dies. We get a land and 2 life and draw a card. Opponent has to discard both those things. See how great this is? This is awesome. Sheltered by Ghost. Yep, we draw a card. Audacity. And they can level up their talent if they like, but then we're just gonna get rid of it again. Let's go ahead and get this Storm Chaser's talent underneath there. Oh gosh. That takes care of that. GG. That's what I'm talking about. Lockdown bouncy boy. Let's do that again. The deck's so good against so many other things, and even in the mirror match, with other decks, like it gets a little more complicated if we're playing against other Esper Pixie decks. But because of the way the stack works and the triggers work, we can, you know, if we do things at the right time, we can order things around in a way that benefits us the most. What do we put back? Add a car waste, because we can go get a third land with clay-fired bricks. Opponent's gonna cut down our otter. How rude. Poor otter. Demon. Alright, let's go get a bricks. Plains. Opponent plays a swamp. Nurturing Pixie. Says, give me back my bricks. Sure. I'll just bounce it all back to my hand. Slasher. Plains. Pixie. Go for the throw. How rude. Oh, that's nice. They had another bloodletter. It doesn't matter. Everything's gonna die. Oh, wait, what? cool. Got rid of that permanently. Opponent hits us for 4. Sure. Smack him for 3. Slasher. They're having good luck drawing their combo. Why did it? Oh my gosh. I swear to God, the auto tapper is so annoying. Get rid of that bloodletter. I'm fine with losing half my life here. Land. All right, nowhere to run. Lockdown. This town ain't big enough. Played lockdown. Exile everything. All right. And that's how the deck wins. Ritual Chamber, sure. Does suck that we're gonna lose a little bit of life here, but make them discard the Ritual Chamber, get rid of the Slasher forever, gain some life, get a land, discard, discard. Lock it down. I love it. Fill the opponent with despair. Sure. GG. All right. That is how it is done, ladies and gentlemen. I like that deck. That's fun. Well, it is 11 p.m. EST. That is usually when I end my Wednesday streams. Thank you to all of you who joined me for this stream, and any of you who watch this after the fact. If you are watching this after the fact, I hope you'll take a quick moment to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Every single one of those is immensely helpful. I had a great time with you guys tonight. I'm really excited for Aetherdrift. I will definitely be posting videos about spoilers as they come out, probably 1 or 2 a week, maybe. Keep your eyes out for another video series that I've started working on. It's called Bite-Sized Brews. So I'll let you try to figure out what that's going to be. Leave you a little bit of anticipation before I start making those, but probably in the next week or two you'll start to see those coming out. So a little bit more frequent posts from me, with a little more fun and interesting content mixed into what I normally do. So looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next week for another live stream. So I have a video going out on Friday as usual, and with that I will catch you guys in the next one.